Welcome back, guys. Today I will be talking about the worst Scream movie. And yes, worse than 3. Scream 6. So I just watched the Scream series a few days ago, and I gotta say, the series is great. I love this franchise. It still holds up. There is so much to love in these movies, even some of the bad ones.
There aren't any shitty ones.
And in my opinion, why this series works so much is because of 3 things. The characters, the stakes, and the villains. Without those, you don't have an interesting Scream movie. And today, I will be analyzing these 3 main components to figure out what went wrong with Scream 6. Now, before we get started, we have to know how we got here. The year is 2019, and Blumhouse Production is interested in reviving the Scream name. Jason Blum, head of Blumhouse, was working on just that, a new Scream installment. And in November of 2019, Spyglass Media acquires the rights to make a new Scream. And in 2022, we were gifted Scream 2022. Not Scream 5, just Scream. Anyway, Scream 2022 was a refreshing start to a soft remake with almost all new characters. And it did surprisingly well, grossing around $138.9 million worldwide. It was a new take on the franchise and gave a breath of fresh air to this series that it really needed. However, you know when something does well, the studio demands a sequel. And on February 3rd of 2022, Scream 6 was greenlit. The trailer was good. It made it look interesting, kind of following the Scream 2 plot at the college, but in New York. And that's the thing, we are no longer in Woodsboro. We are in the city that never sleeps, New York. How could this go wrong? Then, on March 10th, 2023, it was released. Even at the time, being the biggest fan of Scream and really enjoying what the directors did with the last movie, I couldn't help but find myself bored and wishing for it to end. This did not feel like what we watched before. No Sidney, no Dewey? Was this really what the movie was missing? I thought Dewey's death was sad in Scream 5. It's sad to see a character from all these movies get killed in such a dumb way too. But it also kind of worked too, to show that, hey, these movies aren't messing around. Having Sidney gone was a bold choice, not one from the directors, but from the studio. This was Neve Campbell's first movie away from the franchise, but even the last movie showed that they could still carry on without Sidney. And then I started thinking, why does this movie suck? And it's made by the same people. That's why I looked at it more and more. I have what I think are the 3 worst things in this movie, and hopefully I can finally close the book on this film and never look back.
Handsome man in a dusty black coat with a red right hand.
My first problem is the characters, the core 4. I thought the last movie did good at setting up these characters. Now, not all of these characters are bad. The only 2 I actually kinda like out of the 4 are probably Chad and Tara. They have the most to do in this movie, and I think personally they work well with each other. As for the other 2, now, I'm going to save Sam for later, don't you worry, but I have to talk about Mindy. Mindy is probably one of the worst characters in this series. I thought she was fine in Scream 5, but I always did think it was dumb to have another Randy in these movies. You just can't replace him.
You forgot the first rule of remakes. Don't fuck with the original.
And I think it's also kind of funny that they said this in Scream 5.
Okay, remember the Stab movie that came out last year?
Oh, yeah, the one the Knives Out guy directed, right? You know, I actually really liked that one.
Of course you did. You have terrible taste.
I hate you.
The point is, the hardcore Stab fans hated it. You go on 4chan and dread it. All they're talking about is how Stab 8 pissed on their childhoods, how they crammed in social commentary just to make it elevated, how the main character is a Mary Sue.
What's a Mary Sue?
You really don't want to know.
There's a few things you can take away from this. The Mary Sue is Sam, obviously, but again, we're not talking about her yet. But what about how Stab 8 killed their childhood? Sounds familiar, huh? And the forced social commentary. Well, Mindy was already gay, but why explore that by giving her a girlfriend?
Oh, come on!
Fun fact, there was no gay characters in the first 4 movies. I just don't know why we have to explore this and show this. Who cares? It's like they did the one thing they were making fun of. And there's probably going to be someone out there trying their hardest to defend this. I don't care that the characters are homosexual. It's like no one can talk about this or you're homophobic or a bigot. Moving on from that can of worms, I don't feel like her character, or even Chad's character, should even be here. Even though I like his character. Take these 2 out, nothing happens to affect the plot. Look at it like this. After Randy had his use, they killed him, leaving the characters to figure out things by themselves. But for Mindy, who is basically the same character, she lives even though she should have died like her uncle. She has no real character arc or anything, so why she live? And that brings me to my second problem, the lack of stakes for the characters.
Old handsome man in a dusty black coat with a red right hand.
Now, I think a lot of people will agree with me when I say that Chad should have died in the last movie from all those stab wounds, and Mindy should have died in this movie. The movie has so little risk for our main characters, I have more fear for Gale than I do for the core four. And that's because we know that she can die. Just look at Dewey. Dewey got killed by some 5'3" chick. Then Gale gets attacked, and you're on the edge of your seat, wondering, is this really where Gale is going to die? Or is this going to be a fake out like Scream 4? But yet we feel none of that for these characters, because we know that they're not going to die.
That doesn't seem fair.
Now, you could make the argument for the first four movies doing the exact same thing, but after Scream 5, I feel like all bets are off. Plus, it would have been a bold choice to kill one of these characters, but they didn't. Chad gets stabbed again. This time not by one Ghostface, but by two. Just let the poor bro die already. And having Mindy die could have been a nice nod to Randy in Scream 2. I'm not saying kill Tara or Sam, but at least have bigger stakes. Make this new era separate from the first four movies, crack some eggs, kill some people.
Old handsome man in a dusty black coat with a red right hand.
Anyway, we have reached the final reason why this movie sucks. And that is Sam. I don't know what it is, but this character is one of the worst protagonists I have ever seen. She is hell annoying, always on Tara's case, never leaving her alone, and her whole rage stabbing thing I find really cringe and annoying. Sydney was a good character because she was likable. She knew how to talk to people. She was kind but strong. While Sam was just hateful. Like, towards everyone. Like, for no reason. Like, no one can know what she's been through but her. They try so hard to make her character look so strong that it comes across as cringe. Like she can do no wrong. That she's better than everyone else. When she's not. She's not likable. She has a bad attitude towards everybody. And that final battle is just laughable. Where she's taunting Bailey about how she killed his son. That's cringe and funny at the same time. I can't tell you how funny that scene is. And it's not her fault, but her facial expressions they're kind of hilarious. There are other ways to make your character strong but likable. Having her be Billy Loomis's daughter, I thought was a cool idea in concept. However, Billy acting like she's going to go around and start killing people like him is just absurd. Sam is a very insecure character. She will never match Sidney Prescott. Sidney Prescott is my favorite final girl of all time, and it's not even close to any other character. And that's why I feel it insulting to this character for her to be replaced by a worse character. And it sucks too because the actress actually seems really cool and really nice in real life, but she's just too annoying to handle, and she is a Mary Sue. Now, we have reached the end, but I do want to give some positives to an otherwise pretty negative review. So I'll go over some things I really like. Wes Craven once said that he thought Kirby survived, and in this one, she's back, and it's really cool to see her again. Even if she's not really in it that much, it's still great to see the character again, and her work in law enforcement, I think, is a pretty cool idea. Also, Ghostface now being in New York is a really cool idea, and even though stupidly people got pissed about it, it was really cool to see Ghostface holding a shotgun. Even if the Ghostface reveals were pretty predictable and came from a mile away, I still like the reveals on the opposite side. And even though it's bound to happen, it's still cool to see 3 Ghostface. And as I said, I like Chad and Tara's dynamic and their relationship. However, the rest of the movie is trash and I'll never watch it again.
Just do